The failed socialist government of Spain continues to fight against what the real root of the problem is, the Jews. Yeah, we talked about Spain a couple of days ago. Usually we have at least a few weeks before between episodes about the same country when it's some European anti-Semitic country, but Spain just can't get enough of being the topic on this show. Last week we talked about um, Pedro Sanchez, Spanish Prime Minister, saying how he would love it if he had the nukes to prevent the genocide by killing all the Jews. And now we're talking about actually something else we've talked about on the show, the bicycle race La Vuelta in Spain, which has been the target of anti-Israel rioters every single day, attacking participants, targeting, of course, the Israeli team there, but generally causing disruptions. As we see, we've talked about this a lot over the past couple of years. If you support savages, you are also a savage and also likely to behave like a savage. So wherever there's anti-Israel protests, there's always violence, there's always rioting, there's always harm to innocent civilians because that is what these people want, that is what these people support, whether it's in the Middle East or in the West. Yeah, so we've seen more of that, and yesterday was the final segment of the race, and the cyclists arrived in Madrid, and of course this was disrupted again. They were attacked again, and Spain's prime minister and members of his government applauded the rioters who attacked. Remember, these are the people who are controlling the police who did nothing significant to stop it. By the way, there was going to be a counter protest. Yeah, there are pro-Israel people in Spain, and the police said, "Sorry, we can't guarantee your safety." But they obviously couldn't guarantee the safety of the participants in the race, but they could guarantee the safety of the attackers. That is the country that Spain is now. It is practicing what it preaches, and it is not a safe place for, again, not just Jews, but anybody who is actually reasonable and wants to be a civilized, peaceful member of society. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg. I'm joined by James Valiant. James, your first thoughts on this latest incident in Spain?
Can you imagine an important sporting event, something that has nothing to do really, or should have nothing really to do with politics? Can you imagine an important sporting event for which your country is known and famous, an event in which you know the eyes of the world are going to be on you, and you cancel it, and you cancel it, and you say, "Hooray for the protesters who canceled it." Protester, and I put that in quotes, of course, scare quotes. These aren't protesters, these are people violating rights. And here you've got the president of a so-called civilized country, Senor Sanchez, saying that, okay, that's really, I'm so happy that we have such a population that is willing to take to the streets and disrupt what should be a peaceful event that our country takes pride in. And he's proud of the Palestinian protesters. So this guy is, and of course he can't, of course his government can't. Would you be confident that his country could defend I mean, in that, he's just factually correct, I think, in one sense. His government is unwilling to defend, unwilling and unable, perhaps, to defend a counter protest against these Palestinian thugs. Yeah, and as a follow up on last week, what was he suggesting that he would nuke Israel? I mean, given the ugly, dripping I mean, it's the mask is completely fallen off. This isn't even some secondhand, sort of, euphemism for his anti-Semitism that he's finding. This is actually straight up, hardline anti-Jew rhetoric. This guy may as well be one of the most, as I keep saying, Europe has devolved, it feels like 2, 3 centuries into well, obviously though there was the Holocaust, but it feels like it's going backwards in terms of its just rank Jewish hatred of Jewish people. Um, was this a disproportionate response, Senor Sanchez? Yeah, that's what a good self-defensive response is. It's disproportionate. Is Israel engaged in genocide? No, only in your fevered imagination, your seriously sick, fevered anti-Semitic imagination. Uh, I am just dumbfounded at the overt nature. Now, sure, there have always been bigots and anti-Semites, yeah, but civilization is when those people start becoming ashamed to speak up. We're now living in a world in which presidents of major so-called civilized countries can just be overt and naked in their bigoted hatred of Jews. It's reprehensible.
Yeah, let's hear some of this piece of shit in his own words. This is translated, of course, but this is from Israel National News. Um, so this is from the story there. He told a socialist party gathering in Malaga that the demonstrations, quote, filled him with pride, unquote, expressing, quote, recognition and full respect for the athletes, but also our admiration for a people like Spain's, which mobilizes for just causes like Palestine. First of all, there's always this thing that people do where, I don't know how many people participated in the riots. I don't know, but it doesn't matter if it's dozens or hundreds or thousands. It is not the entire Spanish nation that agrees with you that the right thing to do right now is to exterminate the Jews, as you yourself said last week that you wish you had the power to. Many Spanish people wanted to protest against this, and your government made sure that they didn't. Now, again, this is a race where cyclists from around the world participate. It's kind of like the Tour de France, but the Spanish version. And it's not just that there's no sporting value to a competition where the actual competition can't take place at any moment where rioters want to, but or want to stop it, but the organizers themselves encouraged said after the first attack, they said, we it would be good if Israel withdrew, if the Israeli team withdrew. The sports minister in Spain said that he can't ban them, but he doesn't want them to participate. This is what's going on right now in Europe. And by the way, we're talking about sporting competitions. There's going to be more of this. Maccabi Tel Aviv are playing in the UEFA Europa League starting next Wednesday or Thursday. They're playing in Greece. Greece yesterday, the site of an anti-Semitic lynching attempt, and they're playing in Birmingham, which is the jihad capital of the UK. There's a lot of opportunities for anti-Semites in Europe to target Jews where they know the Jews will be. We've seen this in London over the past couple of weeks, multiple attacks in Golders Green. And we see this in the context of the Eurovision, again, a song contest, but an opportunity for anti-Semitic governments to show where they stand. And Spain, of course, is leading this charge, maybe in part because the prime minister thinks this will let the electorate kind of let him off the hook for running the country into the ground. Uh, they Spain was the first last year after Israel won the popular vote to say let's change the rules so the Jews can't keep winning, and now demands that Israel is expelled from the Eurovision, otherwise Spain will withdraw. Uh, there's more and more of this this is trickling down from the political class in so many countries. When you see anti-Semites and if if the leaders say it's open season on the Jews, there are people who will take them up on that offer, and we're seeing that in Spain, and we're seeing it. The savages take the leaders up on their offer, and the leaders are cheering them, which only means there's going to be more of this. By the way, I mentioned Maccabi Tel Aviv in football. There's also Maccabi Tel Aviv in basketball, which plays in the EuroLeague, and I think there's like 18 or I don't remember how many games there are, but many games, including several in Spain. So yeah, absolutely expect a lot more of this.
Yeah, he's proud. He's proud that his people will violate individual rights He's proud that people will use force to interfere with what should be an object of, I guess, Spanish national pride, even a peaceful sporting event. But he's proud that his people are violating rights, disrupting activities so that they can take a stand against Israel. That's what he is proud of as the leader of Spain. You're right, he's running his country into the ground. Well, I'd just remind people that it's been now more than 500 years ago that the Pope gave the green light for the Spanish Inquisition at the end of the 15th century. When the Christians reconquered the Iberian Peninsula, they, because of that Reconquista, they had on their hands now a whole bunch of Muslim and Jewish inhabitants. And the response, of course, from the Catholic Church and the Spanish government, the Spanish governments of Aragon and Castile at the time, which were just being unified, was to engage in a Spanish Inquisition, to have people threatened, tortured, killed. If they didn't convert to Christianity, they would be tortured and killed. And the threat, of course, by itself caused many Jews to flee Spain. Now, of course, that's obviously just a step worse here. They're not actually going to go torture and kill Jews to convert them to Christianity. But Spain has a very ugly, bloody history of anti-Semitism, one of the most horrific cases in the history of Christianity. And that's saying something, considering that Christian Europe has such a bloody, miserable history of violent anti-Semitism. As I say, that's my historical perspective on this. It seems to me that Europe is receding back, inching back ever closer to the days of the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, and I see people on the Israeli side saying, "Oh, well, what do you expect? The same, it's the same country." No, well, it's not. It's not the same people. Just like when I was in Athens, I'm like in awe of standing where Aristotle stood. But I'm also kind of disgusted that they haven't made much progress in 2,000 years. But that's a bit harsh. But
Well,
yeah,
90 years ago,
we
the 90 years ago, the real contest in the mind of Spaniards was between fascists and communists in their civil war. So, that's the spectrum of opinion just 90 years ago in Spain. And I wonder how much Spain has really developed since then.
Yeah,
Um,
and that is more relevant. That is more recent. People who are around there are around then are alive today. And yeah, again, this is Germany has certainly become better than it was in the previous century. So Spain, you have no excuse. Your terrible history is no justification for your terrible present. Thank you, Bullmoose, for the super chat. Bullmoose says, ironic that the man who fantasizes about nuking another country, accuses it of being disproportionate. Accuser of genocide, accuser of genocide, dreams of committing genocide. But that's the thing. That's been the whole thing. And we've said this. Nobody actually believes that what Israel is doing in Gaza meets the actual definition of the word genocide, including those who accuse it, which is why Amnesty International and the Irish government, have said openly, we need to redefine genocide so we can convict Israel in the kangaroo court in The Hague. Nobody actually believes that. But the thing is, they know that the people they're supporting are full on genocidal. It is a genocidal society. Now, they're not successful in their genocide. The greatest success they've had was October 7th, but that has always been the goal of every Palestinian organization since the Palestinian national movement was invented or created in the 1960s. And they have never shied away from that. They have never pretended otherwise. In the West, it's a bit more difficult to say, yes, I want to see the Jews exterminated, although more and more people are feeling brave enough to openly come out and say it. So they wrap it around different things and accuse Israel of what is being done to it or attempted to or what people are
It's a
attempting.
classic political tactic. It begins with psychology, of course. When people complain, very often they're projecting, as people say. They're, the Freudian term, I think it is projecting. And that's what this is. It's pure projection. I mean, truly genocidal motives are being washed over, ignored. True atrocities I mean, the fact that Hamas are, the Palestinians in general are savages and are not extremely effective, and that the best they can do are the horrific atrocities that you find on October 7th, it visibly shows that they mean their genocidal intent. And so to completely whitewash a truly genocidal movement like Hamas, like the Palestinian culture in general, truly genocidal, in their behavior, in their intention. They have to redefine what genocide is to make the same accusation against Israel. Because, you too, you're genocidal too. When, of course, there is Israeli behavior, and this has been just the opposite. They've been taking unprecedented steps to feed and protect so called innocent civilians in Gaza. This is absolutely insane. This is Orwellian newspeak. This is psychological projection. It is anti-Semitic in the extreme when you think about it in that context. They have to have what we're going to consult another panel of experts on whether or not what's going on. You're right. They know it's not genocide, so they're going to go get themselves a hand-selected group of a panel of experts to redefine what genocide is, so we can accuse Israel of genocide, when in fact they're obviously taking unprecedented steps to protect, I think wrongly, but unprecedented steps to protect Palestinian civilians, while on the other hand, they're whitewashing, overtly and intentionally whitewashing actual genocidal goals, ideas, and frankly, behavior. The atrocities of October 7th really express that so clearly. Now, the fact that they don't have the Israeli military, that these people really are backward savages, and the horrors, the atrocities of October 7th are really the most that they can do. What? That makes them innocent of it? No. This is absolutely insane. They are overtly whitewashing October 7th. Yes, Senor Sanchez, you are overtly whitewashing what happened on October 7th. You are morally twisted, sir. Yeah, it's no surprise that he's running his country into the ground. Of course not. The man's
Yeah.
a dyed-in-the-wool authoritarian socialist, from what I can tell, anyway. So,
Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. Ram says Israel did kill 130% of under five children. After all, yeah, but that's the thing. Now I see the numbers. The numbers been thrown out and retweeted a lot recently. Is 600 and something thousand. I don't remember exactly, but over 600,000. And people retweet it because why not? Somebody said it, so repeat it. And again, the genocide accusation achieves its goal. The goal is not to convince the world that what Israel is doing in Gaza is genocide. The goal is to make that the conversation. Is it a genocide? Is it not a genocide? Are you denying a genocide? That is the conversation. The conversation is not why is anybody supporting the savages who started this war and who insist on continuing this war? Every single day that this war continues is the Palestinian people's united choice for it to continue. Again, not my policy. Israel's policy, which I oppose, is as soon as they release the hostages, which they took on October 7th, and lay down their arms and surrender, the war is over. And the Palestinians, nobody on the Palestinian side is doing anything to make that happen. So this is the war the Palestinian people want. They want it to continue, and it is people like Pedro Sanchez who are making sure that not only does the war continue, but even when it ends, and unfortunately it won't end with the total victory that it should end with, once it ends, this will happen again because that is everything. All the resources of the pro-Palestinian world will go towards that. All the resources will go towards saying, look, try again. You've succeeded the first time. This has been a success for the Palestinians. The last 2 years is the height of Palestinianism worldwide. And look, if you can slaughter Jews and have the world cheer for you, show like actually show it, live stream it with your GoPro cameras, and the world will cheer, and people will go out and celebrate on the streets the day you do it, and then go out and pretend you're the victims the moment Israel starts defending itself. You can get away with anything with, again, as we say, literal mass murder.
Boy, you are right. What a success these horrors were for Hamas, eh? They're getting recognized as they're getting a Palestinian state recognized, and you've got world leaders. Get this. Next time you point out the sporting events, you point out the other international events. Obviously, I'm going to distinguish with the Spanish. I mean, no, the Spanish leader is actually encouraging it. He's saying, "Go violate people's rights," and I'm so proud of you for violating people's rights and shutting down our famous bike race. What is he doing but encouraging, putting gasoline on the fire of what? Another Amsterdam pogrom? What does he want? He wants every time the supporters of Israel, an Israeli sports team, show up for them to get dumped into the cold channels of Amsterdam or wherever the city happens to be where they're competing. He is giving a green light to the violation of rights of ordinary innocent Israeli people. Now, think of that. Or just supporters of Israel. You come out in support of an Israeli sports team. Well, I guess that means the local population has a right to gang up on you and attack you with physical violence. Uh, in that context, when Jews are being killed in my country, Israeli embassy workers are being shot outside of a Jewish event in Washington, D.C. In that context, what Mr. Sanchez is saying is absolutely unspeakable. He is encouraging murderous violence worldwide against Jews. He is applauding the disruption of a sporting event, the protests against Israel's very participation in a sporting event. That is utterly despicable. This man is an enemy of civilization, and he's leading a major Western country.
Yeah. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, Razi, UK figures like Galloway and Corbyn need to be banned from the US. Look, I don't know about figures like them, but if the UK had leadership with anything resembling a backbone, which we haven't had since Thatcher resigned, and anything resembling clarity on where this country stands. Is it with the West? Is it with the backwards Middle East? Then, then, if we had that clarity, both Galloway and Corbyn would be tried for treason, and not because of the opinions they express, but because of things they've actually done. George Galloway was, BFFs with Saddam Hussein during a war between this country and Iraq, which doesn't matter if you support it or not. Actually, being on the side of the enemy at a time of war is by definition treason. Jeremy Corbyn worked for the government of Iran. He was an employee or on the payroll of the Iranian government when he was appearing regularly on their propaganda channel explaining why the Jewish state shouldn't exist. So these people are actual traitors. They're not just people with very bad views that it's disgusting to hear. It's people who are actually working to undermine this country. By the way, Corbyn, maybe I shouldn't say anything that not 100% sure of, but there was some issue about his actual involvement in the 80s with the Soviet Union, right? So this, yeah, yeah, it's not a matter of free speech when you actually work for the government of an enemy.
Yeah, no, and the totalitarian impulses here are clear. Of course, these people, it's what's interesting, this wonderful convergence that we're having between, former communists, and the Islamists today. And so, like with Corbyn, I wouldn't be a bit surprised. I myself don't know his biography, but that's totalitarian in its impulse. That's what it has in common. If you're a supporter of Iran, if you're a supporter of these theocracies or monarchies or military dictatorships that surround Israel versus Israel, then obviously your political values are all upside down and twisted. Is it surprising at all? No, these people have totalitarian impulses. So it doesn't surprise me that your hardcore socialists are over on that side and hating Israel. I mean, it goes with it's the package. It goes together. We want to use force. We think force is an appropriate political tool domestically and internationally. And we're, by the way, sympathetic with the totalitarian impulses of the savages in the Middle East. It all goes together. It's perfectly logical and consistent.
Yeah, and aside from Corbyn's work for the enemies of this country, his advocacy, his entire political career has been,
Well,
trying to make this country into a dictatorship and supporting pretty much every dictatorship in the world as long as it kind of fits with what he wants and celebrating terrorists. Remember, he has there's a video of him saying we invited our friends in Hamas and our friends in Hezbollah to speak in parliament. He referred to those mass murderers as friends. So yeah, Corbyn has never met a mass murderer that he didn't like. Paul says Israel has been given two options from Eurovision 2026, either withdraw for a year, and Paul says EBU will use it as an excuse to never let them compete again, or compete under a non-flag. So the European Broadcasting Union has said this is not an official thing. There is a consultation, and they will say what is the actual case afterwards. But yeah, I would be surprised if the European Broadcasting Union has any kind of balls to stand up to the pressure from Spain, from Ireland, from whatever other countries said that they will withdraw if Israel is allowed to participate. And look, we talk about how we're living in 1930s Germany. This is certainly 1930s and 1920s Germany. This is how it started. It wasn't like the German people all woke up collectively one morning and said, "Let's get rid of the Jews." This was a campaign that lasted over a long, long period of time and got to the point where people said, "Okay, this is the solution." There's it didn't happen overnight, and it's not happening overnight now. And in terms of uh, consensus, or at least how mainstream anti-Semitism is in the West right now, that is absolutely where we're headed. Yeah,
well,
James.
that's been the situation for, I put on my historian hat, as I say. It's been the situation for centuries. And you wonder why we need a Jewish state. You wonder why I'm a Zionist. I mean, consider the way Christian Europe has traditionally treated the Jews. Consider the Holocaust just 80 some years ago. I mean, really, people, think about it. Europe's ugly anti Semitic nature has not fundamentally changed. Perhaps the Holocaust put a guilty mask on it for a little while, but that mask has completely fallen off. Jews are not safe in Europe. I hate to say, Jews are not safe in North America either, where I thought there was a refuge for, people who'd been oppressed in Europe. One of the great prides of America is, well, geez, you can come to North America and escape persecution if you're a religious minority or an oppressed group in Europe. No, you're not safe. Jews are not safe. They're getting gunned down. They're getting torched in my country. They're look at the attitudes, the green light that the leader of Spain is giving to people interfering forcefully with just a sporting event because in protest and solidarity to Palestinians. No, 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 no. We absolutely must have Israel. Jews need to have a place where they can protect themselves and rely on themselves, because guess what? There is no place in the Muslim or the Christian majority world where they are safe. I'm more convinced of that than I've ever been in my life. And that's what makes me an American who comes from Christian background, a full on hardcore Zionist. The Christian world is hostile to Jews today. And if you can't see that, uh, there's very little I can do to help.
The
We've
uh,
pointed out the
pro
facts again and again, and apparently that doesn't penetrate. Those don't penetrate.
the Primetime Emmy Awards were took place in November 2001, having originally been scheduled for September 16th and then postponed after Islamic savages flew planes into buildings in New York. If only those savages knew that 24 years later, the Emmy Awards would become a love fest for Islamic terrorists because they are killing Jews mostly now. Yeah, they'd be proud. Yeah, that is the topic of today's episode of the reality show, which follows this show. Before we go, I have to say, if you haven't yet secured your spot at the Irreplaceable Spark Conference, which takes place at the end of October in Orange County, you should do so. James, you will be coaching there. And as will many other people that you want as coaches. Yeah, there were one-on-one coaching sessions for VIP ticket holders only. If you can't afford a VIP ticket, there are cheaper ticket options that give you access to all the talks, to the Spark Market, a first of its kind expo of businesses created by objectivists. So make sure you sign up. And of course, the keynote speaker, James, do you want to tell us about him quickly before we wrap up?
Well, we have very exciting news. Dr. Leonard Peikoff, the world's foremost authority on objectivism, will be closing out the conference, and very exciting. You know, it will be about the sense of life that comes from success. Um, um, Happiness is the goal. It really, really is. And success is the source of happiness. And where do we get success? Well, you're going to be hearing from a lot of successful people, and they'll explain how objectivism played a key role in their success. This is going to be unlike any other objectivist conference that has ever been. And it is, I think, perfectly appropriate that Dr. Peikoff should join us with a cap on the emotional leitmotif that comes from success: joy, happiness, and delight.
And Dr. Peikoff will also be doing a book signing that is, again, for VIP ticket holders only. One of many reasons to get VIP tickets. But yeah, like I said, there is a link in the description. It is objectivism.co.uk. That's where you can sign up for the conference. I think I had another point about the conference, but I forgot what it is. But I will be back tomorrow to make that point. James, I believe you will be back tomorrow as well, joining me on the Daily Objective.
I believe so.
So thanks, James. Thanks everybody for watching. The reality show starts in a couple of minutes.
Be safe.